beautiful plants.
Books, plants, and bake sale.
Bake sale.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else? Any public comments? Jack?
Yeah, I want to thank the people on Main Street, Bob Ryan, and the cheese factory for moving the flower pots back and making it a safer walk area. And it was almost instantaneously the next day, I think it was, right?
Great.
So,
I put the snowplow on the pickup and they went back just like. No, and also,
Free at last.
Free at Last, she jumped right on it.
right,
too,
right,
so.
yeah.
Great. That's
Thank
what,
Thank you
good
very much.
communication does wonders, right?
Yes,
Mhm.
That's wonderful.
thank you.
Thank
Squeaky
you.
wheel, as they say, Jack.
Yes, yes.
Could I make a comment? Sure. I just wanted, I read today about the county executive's executive order that is going to require that the county purchase 100% of its energy for renewable sources through the remainder of this year in 2015. And I think that's really exciting and shows really great leadership. We'll be the first county in the state to do this. And just want to commend him and the county for this effort.
Yep, it's very good thing. I haven't had a chance to really study all the details of it, but obviously it's important to head in that direction.
Yeah, and we can talk about it.
Okay. The first thing up is Eric has recommended Ashley Houghtaling as his assistant youth director. And she's been working on and off for the youth center, mostly at camp, and I think it's probably a good fit. So I'd like to make a motion to hire Ashley Houghtaling as assistant youth director at $9 per hour for 20 hours per week.
I'll second that. Thank you. Yeah, she's a good kid.
Councilman Hassett,
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger,
Yes.
Councilman Kozlowski,
Yes.
Councilman Ryan,
Yes.
Supervisor Wall.
Yes. We have the street festival on the agenda for the site plan. Billy, is there anything new that you want to add to that site plan?
Yes, well, nothing's submitted, but new this year is rule number 8. Because the problem last year was some of the vendors had left their setups on the street, and at midnight or so, people were called to come down and remove it. So now we added a clarification, rule number 8, that says that since Main Street is also Route 213, most of those parking regulations that most vendors will have to vacate their spot for Saturday night overnight.
Okay.
But that was submitted. That's just the big change from last year.
That was a recommendation from
Chief Perry.
Chief Soul, yeah. And when you say remove, does that include the box trucks, or are you allowing them to stay?
Usually the big trailers are further down Main Street to where parking is.
You're talking about anything that was more like food to have, to definitely, I mean, I know it's always been the rule, but you're enforcing it a little bit stronger.
Yes, the pop-ups or whatever, they're all gonna be dismantled at the end of the night and then set back up again on Sunday.
Yeah, I know sometimes people are leaving things on the sidewalk and thinking that they could just leave it and come back the next day.
Well, wasn't it the box truck up by the 1850 house that really kind of was the big problem?
I don't know, I left at 10 o'clock. I was home sleeping when all this stuff happened, so.
Well, there's no parking spot there,
Yeah,
that's part of it.
there's no parking
Right.
until you get to about where Planet Pet is. That's where you can begin to park on Main Street, but I think it's a little bit further, maybe a little bit more west from there. Like maybe by Canal Press, a couple of people had left their stuff set up.
So,
Come down at 5 after 10 and we'll have a tremendous 50% discount on anything left on the street.
Well, you'll be in bed.
I might set to 10:15 then.
now, have you had a chance to get any feedback from fire department and highway?
No, I spoke with Highway Superintendent Gallagher a few minutes ago, and he says he will advise me of anything that's really important.
Okay, because typically there's the street sweeping at the end or whatever.
Yeah, it'll be on Monday.
Okay, so I just want to make sure all those arrangements are made with highway, so that,
A couple of trash cans put out, barricades in a few strategic locations.
okay, so you're going to work that through before?
Yes.
I'd like to get some kind of feedback before next Wednesday, so that we
Okay.
have everybody's What about fire department?
Fire department, the best of my knowledge, they're good.
All right, can you get something from them?
Okay,
Just saying that they, have no concerns?
Basically, from highway, there's no changes from last year's.
You know what, if we could just back up one, and I meant to do it earlier. I want to commend Bob Gallagher and the highway department on the excellent job that they've been doing around town, especially Tilson Road. I'm glad Carl's not here. I haven't seen it that good in years, where it's not so high. It is level, it's low, there's no tough aprons for the driveways that are along that road. It's a nice feathery thing. It's a really beautiful job that you've done and all around the town with mowing now and stuff like that. And I want to thank you and your crew for all the work and jobs.
You can talk to people on
Except
this note.
Rosendale.
You can talk to people on this note.
We're gradually sending them all to Florida, so just bear with us, okay? They will all be in Florida within a year.
I'll add to that and also agree that
But you got people in Florida?
the highway department's doing a great job. Okay, so Bill, we're just trying to follow all the stipulations for the big mass gathering, so we have it all in place. We'd like to finish this up next Wednesday, so.
we do have a meeting scheduled, security summit with Chief Perry on June 10th. And usually he coordinates with the Sheriff's Department, State Police, and Mobile Life, and they all sit down and go through it, and they discuss all of the details of their patrols and how they'll handle any situation. But we do have our private security, and people have asked, why do we need to have our private security if we don't have any problems? I agree with Perry 100% that because we have our own security and a great coordination with the different police agencies is why we don't have any incidents.
Definitely makes a difference, and, we had recently got a letter from
Still not fun.
the
Larson's?
Larson's, that they had a very successful event, and a lot of that credit went to the coordination between the police department and security and making sure everything was done in a safe manner, so I think everybody agreed at the end that it made a big difference, a huge impact, so
That went over smooth.
that the experiences that you guys have had with evolving into, a more secure, kind of, was the same thing with them. So yeah, you can see the proof of that when you have one event from year to year, a big difference in how it's handled. So.
It's amazing what communication cooperation can do.
Okay, anything else you want to add to that before we move on?
When we're approved, I just need a letter from the town and also from the police chief so we can get our 33A or B highway permit to close Main Street down on that day. We have to have a written letter from the town saying it's okay to do it.
Okay. Do you
So-
have a time constraint on when you need to submit it by?
Well, they wanted it 90 days in advance, but usually I submit it like somewhere in the middle of June, and
Okay.
we've never had a problem yet.
You've already put it in their ears, though, you're doing
Yes.
this, okay. All right.
Okay. Question, also in the application, item 15 on page 8, you asked the town board to allow inspection of all coolers and large bags. Is that
Yes.
something that's a,
That
Will
goes
be
back
meeting
to
from
our
us
first
next week?
festival to where glass bottle was used to slice open someone's neck, so we try to keep glass out. People always try to bring in weapons. We can't really stop anyone if they have a permit to carry, but if someone has a large knife or other type of weapons in there. What our security people do is they ask for a quick inspection. If anything's suspicious, they ask people to stand here and they call Rosendale Police, they come over and they handle the situation. We're mainly a point person, and it kind of winnows it out. And like I said, it's things like that is why we don't have any problems.
thank you for clarifying why. I was just asking as to what the action was you needed from the board.
For
A
that,
resolution to this
as
effect?
long as the site plan's adopted,
Okay.
anyone says, you can't search my bag, well, right here in our site plan, we are granted that authority from the town board.
Beautiful site plan, Bill.
Thank you.
This is an
Bob
example.
says I got all the dates right, too.
Thanks for adding the bike racks.
Yes, well, we always had bike racks. One year we had a bike rack on that had 2 bikes locked to it. That took an awful lot of effort on somebody's part.
Billy?
Yes.
Do you, the recycling containers that we had gotten way back when?
They're still
is the-
used.
Is that do you have a sufficient amount, do you feel like, for the street fest?
I want to say last year, the garbage crew, I want to say $134 in recyclable deposits. So I think they're pretty effective.
Jack?
My neighbors on James Street have asked me, because if most of them aren't home for this meeting, and one is even out of the country, a problem about the sound coming across the creek. Well, I know with the street festival, that's one occasion we know about. But we've got a new deck built out behind the hotel out to the river. And wondering, they're worried about having weddings and parties or whatever they are, and late at night, that the sound carries across. I think personally, if that's gonna be, it's not necessarily that it will, but if it's gonna be, that they can put up these temporary shields like you see in the high school, and then canopied over, and put them on the creek side of the the building. So any sound that they have there will stay on Main Street, not come across the creek. Because people are trying to go to sleep, they gotta get up and want to go to work, and other people are having a good time, which is part of the world, But just to try to control the sound, and again, there is a sound device that the police department have. One year I went to get it, and they didn't know where it was, so the following year, they made sure they had it up front. Because sometimes the street festival for so many days and so many bands isn't enough for some people. They have to go on Sunday night into the wee hours of the morning. So to try to control that with the sound machine, they can tell them they can shut it down or quiet it down.
You know,
Jack? I'm sorry.
I mean, the law is right, 7 to 10.
Yeah.
So,
And then, I just wanted to add, I actually just had a conversation with Mike Ruger of the 1850 House about this, because they had a Street Fest fundraiser this past Saturday, which I was sad to miss. But they had a band outside, on the deck, but they're very cognizant of the restrictions, and made sure to, they said it was going to be actually early. It went from 7 to 9, and they turned it off promptly.
Right, that's fine, as long as they're aware of it, and, the town borders, and that will be enforced. And like I say, because once we saw the deck built out there, there's gonna be parties and whatnot, which is right, there's no more, But again, like I say, my neighbors on that side, we hear it on our side of James Street, but they get it right in their back doors and their back windows. So I've had, like I say, 3 or 4 of the neighbors that's, they get these parties going, and in the restaurants or whatever, they open their doors. Even if they're not outside, they open their doors and the windows, and all the sound comes out the back, So, again, just something to,
Mike keeps, it seems like Mike's business down there is a kind of a quiet.
yeah, which is fine. I've got no real complaints about him, it's just the idea that it's there and it could develop. And even beyond his control, if the people start acting up, he's gotta be there to tell them to stop it or whatever, but it's just the idea
If
that,
somebody has a complaint, they can call the police, and they'll have to come down and check and make sure that's, they're
right,
taking
well,
it.
somebody did the last time and they never showed up. And again, like I say, I asked for the sound machine one year, and if you go down onto Main Street, you can't hear the noise that comes out of Snyder Avenue. But if you come up on James Street, even up in Tilson, you can hear that noise coming all the way up the hill.
Well, how about we give it a chance and see what happens, and
Oh,
we'll
yeah,
stay on
yeah,
top
no,
of it.
but it's just the idea that we
Right.
do have the rule. I'll talk to Perry again, to make sure that it's established that he's not here, that somebody has the control and can make knowledge of it. Thank you.
Okay. The next thing on the agenda is the park and ride contract. It says a review, but I'm going to request that we do the resolution tonight. This is, had a little difficulty getting them to come to the table to get this done, and the state is really pushing for us to get, this is it's basically the same contract they already had. It's just extending it for the next year so that we can work on an agreement to expand the park and ride. So it's just giving us the opportunity to continue the contract because it runs out at the end of the month. So if everybody's okay with that, I'll do that resolution tonight.
Sure.
So that's 6/12/2014-1, a resolution authorizing amendment of lease for the premises known as Rosendale Park and Ride. Whereas the town board of the town of Rosendale has determined that it is desirable to continue parking facilities to support long-distance and local bus services and carpooling. And whereas the New York State Department of Transportation has set aside sufficient funding for the town of Rosendale for expenses incurred in continuing such a facility, including monies for the monthly lease. And whereas the premises where the park and ride facility will be located, known as 1056 State Route 32, is owned by the estate of Donald S. Depew. And whereas the property owner, the town of Rosendale, and the New York State Department of Transportation are all desirous of amending a lease initiated on June 8, 2006, and amended on July 16, 2010. Now therefore be resolved, the town board of the town of Rosendale authorizes the supervisor to complete and execute an amendment to the lease agreement as more specifically set forth in document which is annexed here to made a part hereof, by and between the town of Rosendale and the estate of Donald S. Depew with regards to the foregoing.
I'll second.
Roll vote, Councilman Hassett,
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger,
Yes.
Councilman Prislovsky,
Yes.
Councilman Ryan,
Yes.
Supervisor Wall.
Yes. So, I did email you guys, Jill did, the state, the most up-to-date state guidelines for, procurement. I would like to recommend that we amend our procurement policy to coincide with the state regulations. I had talked about this last year, and, the Association of Towns has, encouraged us to do this, and it just makes a lot more sense. I did not give you guys the new one. What you're looking at is the old one, which is from '92. The state recommends that we move the guidelines for supplies and equipments to need bids and over $20,000, and for public works over $35,000. If you look at this old resolution, I'll just go through what my recommendations are and just get some feedback from you guys about what we could do to amend this. So if you go to guideline 2, I'd like to change the 10,000 to 20,000 and change the public works to 35,000. On guideline 3, I'd like to change less than 20,000 but greater than 10,000 to require a written request for proposal. The next line,
I'm sorry, could you repeat the last one?
so less than 20,000 instead of 10, but greater than 10,000 would require a written request for proposal, RFP, and written fax quotes from 3 vendors. Then the next one line would say less than 10,000 but greater than 1,000, requiring oral request for the goods and oral or fax quotes from 2 vendors. And then just less than 1,000 are left to discretion of the purchaser. Then the next section for public works, I'd like it to say less than 35,000 but greater than 20,000 require written RFP and fax proposals from 3 contractors. And less than 20,000 but greater than 10,000 require written RFP and fax proposals from 2 contractors. Then I wanted to add 10,000 to 2,000, from 10,000 to 3,000 would require 2 oral quotes, or written quotes, but 2 quotes.
The last one was,
Yeah.
is what now, less than?
10, well, in addition to this 10 to 20, then you have 10 to 3, just 2 oral quotes to make a comparison. A lot of times in public works, there's limited numbers of who you can use. So, for instance, water and sewer, like 90% of the time, it's a sole source person, a contractor, so you have to go with who they. But every time we have a breakdown, it's more than $5,000. So to go with the old procurement, it's always like an emergency. Every time we do something, it's an emergency. So it doesn't make sense to go with these old numbers. They just don't work. And then those are basically the changes I'd like to make. And if anybody wants to give me any input on that, or if you have any questions or comments, you know, this is just from my own experience in dealing with how we, you know, but if you know, that's why I didn't do it up yet, because I wanted to get your feedback before I bring it back to you for a resolution, or policy change and resolution.
There are a couple of things just from our town board, our training, Association of Town training sessions that came up with procurement. One is that they suggest doing a provision for piggybacking in the local policy, in the local procurement, I mean, the town procurement
We can,
policy.
That's in this update.
And that actually, yeah.
we do that, so, I mean, it's part of, it's allowed. We can put it in our, I don't see any reason why we can't add the language, but we already do that.
Right, they say that you need it if it's gonna be under the amounts that you require.
You're talking about piggybacking with
County,
counties.
yeah.
Yep.
Are we in the same
It's
direction?
been the policy that we've been following for the last 20 years anyway, so, I will bring that back to Mary Lou to add something to that.
Do
because she
we
already-
fall under the same guidelines as the state?
Only, well, we have two choices. We can write our own policy like we're doing now, or we can elect to adopt the state policies. I mean, that's the other option, and that's what I wanted to ask the board.
Is there any mention that we have to follow WMBE or not?
That's only for certain, that's only for bids over a certain amount, and how, there's guidelines for that. But yes, in state money has to go through.
Yeah, it's preferred vendors
Yeah,
in the new memo that
yeah.
we received.
And,
Piggybacking was covered under cooperative purchasing. They talk about a few different ways you can do it.
I mean, we do that for fuel, Bob,
Just to answer that question, we just did that for the two first.
That's right. we did piggyback.
Great.
I mean, if you guys think it's a better way to go, we can just adopt this policy, and then it changes, our law changes, and we get rid of this policy, and we just adopt the state policy. That's another way to go too. And gives us
State
pretty.
policy is a bit more cumbersome than our
It is.
policy.
Yeah, that's what,
I would recommend updating our policy and
Yeah.
moving along, because every time the state gets involved, it gets a little bit more expensive, a little bit more cumbersome for this board.
The other
So,
thing
thank
about
you.
that is
Albany, but stay up there.
if they change something, then we have to be aware that they changed something, and we automatically have to go with whatever they changed, and if we didn't agree with it, then we have to write a policy again. So this gives us the chance
Do
to,
we want to build in a review process?
it's already in
Or it's
there.
not-
We're supposed to be reviewing it annually.
I mean, I have to agree with Councilman Hasley, because at work, I'm going through this now. I wasted a couple hours researching out parts, getting prices and that. I put them into the steward, and she goes to WMBE list, then she goes to the cheapest price, so after a
We
while,
have to do that pretty much anyway, so.
you have 10 hours of man hours on getting a simple task done, that's what I'm,
Yeah. Well, you know, it's pretty much, you know, there's not many changes in the law that would change how we do our policy. You know, obviously, anything that's mandatory, you know, mandated by the state, we have to do. It's mandated, it's mandated. All this is doing is giving us guidelines on, you know, what numbers do we use to, you know, to help us with those guidelines. I think I would just like to change the amount so that we can function a little bit more sensibly, because everything is much more expensive than it was 20 years ago. So, you know, you're talking about, you know, comparatively, these, you know, these numbers don't make sense from 20 years ago. They made sense, but they don't make sense now.
So one other change that's been made, because since our policy was written, was this best value, using best value criteria. Is that something?
We can put that in there.
Yeah. Because I think that would be valuable for things like improving efficiency. You might not have the best price right up front, but it
Yeah.
makes economic sense over time, say mileage of a vehicle or something like that.
Or even when you choose a vendor or contractor, sometimes, you know, best value comes into place too. We have done that, so, you know, it doesn't hurt for us to put that in the policy. So it actually becomes a change in our code, so that's why, you know, we're not doing anything anyway until we have to do, the whole thing has to become a change in how we go forward. So, because it's in our code book. So, any other suggestions on this?
I've gotten a chance to look through it. before next week, I'll study it a little closer, also in terms of the cooperative purchasing and the environmentally responsible purchasing chapters, to see if there's any language that would be beneficial to add to our law. I'm in favor of keeping it light as well.
Well, the cooperative is the same as the piggyback,
Yeah.
and then the
Piggybacking
environmental.
is one of like 4 different things it covers under the cooperative section.
Yeah, I think I would totally support that. And also had a question, is the Environmental Commission, are they actively looking into green purchasing
Yes.
policy?
Yeah, that is one of a number of projects that they're undertaking this year.
So that would be a nice complement to this.
Well, you have to have some wiggle room on this stuff too. You can't have, you can't have it exclusively or we end up in trouble with that too.
I
So,
understand.
you can say it's a preference maybe for if you wanted to make a
That
decision.
would fall under best value.
Best value, you could just, I think
There's
that
a lot
would
of
give.
discretion in that.
Yeah,
But once you
I
put
agree.
it in writing, then you, like Gene said,
Yeah.
you may be constrained to.
You gotta be careful how you
Yeah.
word it. But I'll review your suggestions to Mary Lou. These are numbers that I came up with. If anybody has a question or a concern about those raises in numbers, let me know. I just felt those were the ones I felt made more sense. And I'll probably be talking to Bob and Terry, because they're the two that, make those kind of purchases that are more, more of the public works and the large.
Especially on the contracting part of it, there's really your limited areas of where you can get bids anyway for road work. So
Right.
most of them, depending on which way you go, there's only gonna be 2 bids.
Right.
Well, I like that in our existing guidelines, number 5, specifying that we just have to prove that a good faith effort has been made to obtain the number of required bids.
Can I take my word for it?
I call that good faith.
No, I think that's why I felt this was pretty much covers everything. It's just about the numbers mostly, and, try to get it closer to what the state is recognizing, and not put us in such a tight spot every time we have to buy something. All right, so I'm gonna put that aside, and we'll work on that for next meeting.
Actually, one other thing, in guideline 6, I think that there's also certain veterans groups fall under that, the list of exceptions. Only certain.
Yeah, that's typical, so, did you have a problem with one of those?
No, just adding that.
Adding which?
No solicitation for certain groups. The old
And-
guideline called for
yeah,
blind and
they're all
blind and
fine.
severely handicapped. Goods purchased from correctional facilities. Even some of that language is out of date.
Yeah, so you're saying take those out?
No, there are in the guidelines. I just remembered that veterans groups were among the exceptions, so I was
Mhm.
gonna suggest adding that to our
Okay.
policy. But maybe actually we should go over this list and just check it against, the,
Against the.
updated
Yep.
list.
Yeah, there's probably a few other things there. After I go through it, fine tooth comb, I think.
Even those dollar amounts in guidelines 6.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll look it over and make sure. I kind of threw this together today.
Prices have gone up since '92.
Yes.
Those seem
Little
like
bit.
sensible numbers.
And the next three resolutions here are for bids for carpet and tile, air conditioning, and security cameras, all for, around that municipal center, and all bids for the monies that we need from our grant. I'm giving these to you to look through. I'd like to do the resolution next week, and that would give us time to have it, no, we have to do it today? So it was, you planning on doing it
When I asked her, she told me we were doing it tonight, so that the date is, the bid
24th?
is the 24th.
All right, so I take that back, gang. All right, so these, you know, you guys can look through,
We're
but
just-
a lot of work went into these between the man hours of reviewing what kind of work we want to have done and the time that, you know, Carl put into it, Mandy put into it, myself, you know, and Marbletown. So I think, you know, we've come up with a modified proposals for what we need done for those three things. If you look at the back, let's take the carpet and tile. If you look at the back, we've identified where we want to put carpet and tile. And this is a much more detailed template than what has been used in the past for the town, so I think it really covers things a lot better.
Oh, this is nice.
If we look at the, so you can see that this is for both, you know, this is for both towns. The ends of the room, the hallways, the entry, the part that's kind of dark red there, that is,
Rubber tile.
it's a rubber tile that has little bumps on it so people don't slip. And then most of the main halls are gonna be, the main hall, the M wing will be all carpet. Our main hallway will be carpet, and we're only carpeting a little way down on the C wing. The C wing has no carpet, and the B wing has just a little bit of carpet. And then you can see that, you know, there's a couple of, we needed to replace some vinyl in one of the rooms in the police department, rather than carpet. And most of the others are just the rooms that we're gonna be occupying, we're putting carpet in those.
That's nice.
Some of the rooms had carpet in them already, and we kept those carpeting.
Well, with a map like that,
It pretty much spells it all out.
yeah, I had no problem with voting on this tonight.
Very detailed.
And I'll show you, then we'll go to the next one. The next one is for air conditioning. And we did the same, similar thing if you go to the back page. We've identified the rooms that we're looking for air conditioning, and we'll be asking the bidders to give us a couple of choices on types of air conditioning systems. We looked at split systems, we looked at an air conditioning system that is still like the split systems, but it goes into the air exchange unit, and that's a possibility. And really it comes down to either one of those choices, but which is gonna be, who's gonna give us the best price. And by doing that, I think we will be able to have we'll have individual controls that way instead of, because obviously we do not want air
Are
conditioning.
these all split units or?
They're
window
either
units?
split units or they're what they call a, there's a type of unit that can go in the air exchange. It's like a central air, but it's more like a split unit. It has a control that, you know, the system would be in the ceiling.
Yeah,
And,
the reason, this is right up my alley because at the prison, we have like 20 split units. They're good, but the ones that are on the ground, they constantly need to be cleaned because when you mow, the dust, the pollen,
yeah.
you have to pressure wash them out and keep that condensing unit clean because if you can't transfer the heat, then you don't get cold. So
Right.
I-
Well, it would be good for you to be in on the decision-making when we choose which product and who we're gonna use, because that would be some of the criteria that we need to know.
how much of a nuisance would it be, Bob, for a chill water system to put it in the HV unit up there to do a lot of the building as far as cost efficient?
It's fine, it's the controls for individually operating each room. That's where the cost is
Got
gonna
it,
come from.
yes, because then you need those seaming control valves. Yeah, okay,
So-
got it.
So, you know, I mean, you could spend a lot of money to really do this, you know, know, so we're trying to find a way to make this happen without it being the top of the
Right.
line and not be the most expensive, so.
And if that, and if I may, if that's an issue as far as that, those splits can be also mounted on the roofs too.
Right.
The other thing is, there's a type that, you know, I've talked to a couple different vendors about, you know, different products. There are some, what is that called, not a split unit, but it's the fact that we want a system where we can individually control, so that, you know, if there's only one person in the building, we're not air conditioning the whole building. You know, if somebody comes into their office at 6 o'clock and they want to turn the air on, they can. But the other thing about these units is they'll also heat, so we could keep the building at a lower temperature, and then people just have to bring up their individual rooms a little bit, just, you know, a couple, 10 degrees or something like that. So that just makes you save money in the long run. And, you know, the fact of the matter is, we're getting the financing from the state grant to do this project, so we want to put something in that helps us to save money in the utility bills. So that's basically where we're at. Yes, Jack?
I have in my house a ductless air conditioning, an individual unit, you can turn it on or shut it off. And it's-
Yeah, but, and that's great, but when you're talking about multi-rooms, like Bob was saying, now you have to have these ceiling control valves.
No, he's
for-
talking about a split.
You still have
Oh,
split
and a
unit.
split.
Yeah. What we also talked about doing, like, they have a very high rate for, you know, how many units you need, and we were like, no, we don't need that many units, so, you know, we're talking about a lot less air conditioning than they originally came to us with, and I said,
Well,
too much, you know.
These are very efficient units, these splits, but did you look into Energy Star ratings and whether there were differences?
We will look into that when the products are proposed to us,
Okay.
okay? Right now, what we've done is say, what are our options for operating air conditioning in this building? We've pretty much narrowed it down to two choices, a split units or a similar to a split unit, but it's wired, it's like, it's piped in, and you only have one condenser for like units, and you have individual.
Well, that might be the thing, since a lot of these are in line,
Yeah,
you'd be able to
Use
get
one unit.
one condensing unit and put all the EVAPs.
right, that's
But-
what we were talking
What do
about.
they have, Bob, like, you can get up to 4 or 5 EVAPs up to one condensing unit? Or do they make?
Splits?
Not,
Yeah.
they're like a split, but they're not the same as the ones you use in your home, right? They're,
No, they're basically the
They're
same
split
thing, is
unit.
that you can multi-tag into,
Right.
so you're only one condensing.
What's the most you could probably hook up to one condenser and EVAPs?
I've done 4.
So that would be.
So we did talk to a couple of vendors that said, you know, you can do, you know, we said, wait, we're not doing that much air conditioning, it's too much. And then they said, well, we could probably do this room and this room with one, and we could do this one, this one, this. So we did look at, like, there's different size units, and maybe we could do it that way. And of course, the big issue, like Bob said, is keeping them clean, keeping them snow, you know, keep snow off them if we're gonna use them in the winter, if we decide to use them for heat. So those are the things we'll have to just.
Most of the new ones also come with dehumidifiers.
Yes.
Air conditioners, basically, for dehumidifiers.
But you know, our air exchange system that we have, really, that takes away the humidity. That's one of the reasons you have to keep it
For the
running.
most part.
Right. So anyway, that's the second one. And then the third one is a bid for security camera system. And I see that sheet's not on here. Andy, what sheet, the identified places for the cameras? Did you get that?
This is the first time.
That's what Perry gave me. Okay. Well, Perry did this one.
Yeah.
And basically, the security system is the whole, if you look at the other maps of the school, you can, key areas, the wings, you know, in each wing has cameras, and around the outside of the building. And, you know, it's basically something that we felt it was important to do before police moved in. That's that's the main reason police has not moved into the building yet. We wanted to have the security cameras in
I
place.
think number C, under 27, kind of explains a little bit.
Is it for the cameras?
Yeah. It just says a couple things, you know, the things he
In the
needs.
scope.
Yeah, the scope, with the scope of work, he'll have to give them the list of where he wants the cameras.
Right. I don't know.
So let's go forward with these. You guys have any other questions?
It didn't mention the total number of cameras, did it? Anyway,
In the scope.
It might be in the scope, I
So the
was,
next one.
I'm gonna say 20.
scope right here. 14 interior dome style 2.0 megapixel.
10 exterior.
It's an exterior, so 24.
Yep, I knew it was somewhere around.
Excellent.
Basically, you know, we sat down and identified where the key places needed to be and came up with that number.
Well, we can't have the court and the police department up there until these are installed
That's,
anyway.
that's how we felt, and that's one of the reasons they've been held off. Okay, so, resolution 6/2014-2, a bid for purchase and installation of carpet and tile at the Rondell Municipal Center, whereas the town of Rosendale has relocated their office to the Rondell Municipal Center in 1915 Lucas Avenue, Cottinghill, New York, 12419. Whereas the town is looking to install carpet and tile in several rooms and hallways at the Rondell Municipal Center. And whereas the town board of the town of Rosendale has prepared bid specifications for same, which is attached here too and made a part hereof. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board of the town of Rosendale shall seek bids for the installation of carpet and tile with sealed bids to be due at the town clerk's office no later than 12 p.m. on June 24th, 2014. The board further authorizes the town clerk to advertise same.
I'll second.
Roll vote, Councilman Hassett,
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger,
Yes.
Councilman Krasinski,
Yes.
Councilman Ryan,
Yes.
Supervisor Walton.
Yes. I mean, this is just getting it out there, and, you know, we'll have some time to make decisions about what we're actually purchasing, so I don't want anybody to feel like the pressure's on. And the second one is Resolution 6/2014-3. Resolution bid for purchase and installation of air conditioning at the Rondell Municipal Center. Whereas the town of Rosendale has relocated their offices to the Rondell Municipal Center at 1915 Lucas Avenue, Cottinghill, New York, 12419. Whereas the town is looking to install air conditioning at the Rondell Municipal Center. Whereas the town board of the town of Rosendale has prepared bid specifications for same, which is attached here to and made a part hereof. Now therefore be resolved that the town board of the town of Rosendale shall seek bids for the installation of air conditioning with sealed bids to be due at the town clerk's office no later than 12 p.m. on June 24th, 2014. The board further authorizes the town clerk to advertise same.
I'll second. Unless you want to.
Yeah, could I ask one question?
Sure.
Would it, under evaluation criteria, I just want to make sure it's being considered. Is there a way we could just stick in technical superiority, energy efficiency?
I'm not interested in putting that in the bid. I think that when we make the decision for purchase, or who we go with, we can discuss that and put that in there. But I don't think that's necessary right now. Let's see what people bring to us, and then we'll make a decision based on who gives us the product that we think is the most energy efficient. I think that's the way to handle that.
My only concern is if they know that's something we're interested in, they'll move forward.
Yeah. We don't have to accept bids until they're what we want.
I have no problem with that.
I know, but I don't want to add anything that's about, I don't want to add anything that's been reviewed by our attorney right now, and I feel if we don't do it tonight, then I'd rather put it off to next week if I'm making changes to it. So it doesn't,
I mean, obviously, when the bids come in, that's going to be the primary thing we look at, especially in the air conditioning end of it, is energy efficiency. So,
It just affects, it would be a guide to, their exploration to their.
anybody that has.
I think anybody who's in the air conditioning business is
know
going to
that.
see this opportunity, and they're going to jump on it, so we're
That's
going to
their
get a
business,
plethora
they know that.
of bids.
Yeah.
Energy
If you-
Star is huge now.
If you've interviewed anyone in that category, that's automatically the first thing that they're looking for. They know that the customer, the consumer, is looking for energy savings, otherwise you wouldn't be doing it. So, I mean, I agree with you, I just don't think we need to do it now, because we're gonna stall the process right now if I do. Jack,
Is there anything in the future on solar panels for the,
we're gonna be looking at that, yes.
to get the energy?
Bob?
Just to help you out on that, Anything that's made these days, energy efficiency is almost it's a non-discussion because they're so high. It's really, you're gonna have more choices on the products than you are gonna talk about energy efficiency.
They know that's what they're looking for, they're not gonna sell any,
That's the first thing that's all over the
Almost
box,
all.
how efficient it is.
yeah,
That's
it's a no-brainer in that respect. I mean, anybody in this business that isn't gonna bring us an air conditioning system that's energy efficient, we're not gonna deal with them, it would be
Right.
pointless.
Well, the only thing is sometimes there are trade-offs between, upfront, between cost and efficiency.
Well, that's our job to investigate those things when we start to look at which one we wanna go with, so.
as a previous GTO owner, I got your back. Previous GTO.
Okay. Roll vote, Councilman Hassett,
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger,
Yes.
Councilman Prislavsky,
Yes.
Councilman Ryan,
Yes.
Supervisor Wall.
Yes. Bob, maybe this is one of those things that you can help us make a decision on
Hey,
that.
my decision is knock holes in the wall and go up to the transfer station and get that with air conditioners up there.
Right, the ones all filled with Freon.
What's that other thing they have with blades on it that spins?
Fan?
Fans,
Yeah.
I think the thing, you can get those styrofoam coolers, you can put dry ice with it.
That works too. I'm waiting to see how much air conditioning we really need, because the hot weather's here and,
Oh, we're dying, we're running.
oh, you're fine, come on.
Is it really hot in here?
No, I don't
Seems
think
always
it's not that
comfortable.
bad. at
It's
all.
not bad, and then when you walk out in the hallways, you can definitely feel it's cooler, but I think it's more because the sun is
Yeah, the
beating
sun beating on.
Pull
straight
your
on.
shades down.
That's what, yeah, that was my mistake today.
Yeah.
I missed it.
Everybody has to be proactive here.
Yeah.
You did,
That was resolution 3.
yes.
Yes.
And resolution 6, 2014, 4, bid for security camera system at the Rondette Municipal Center. Whereas the town of Rosendale has relocated their office to the Rondette Municipal Center at 1950 Olympus Avenue, Cottington, New York, 12419. And whereas the town is looking to install a security camera system at the Rondette Municipal Center, and whereas the town board of the town of Rosendale has prepared bid specifications for same, which is attached here to me in Park Hero. Now therefore be resolved that the town board of the town of Rosendale shall seek bids for the installation of a security camera system with sealed bids to be due at the town clerk's office no later than 12 p.m. on June 24th, 2014. The board further authorizes the town clerk to advertise same.
Second.
Roll vote, Councilman Hassett.
Yes.
Councilwoman Metzger,
Yes.
Councilman Prislavsky,
Yes.
Councilman Ryan,
Yes.
Supervisor Wall.
Yes. Okay, we have to go into executive session. I make a motion to go into executive session to discuss employment issues of particular employees.
Okay.
Yes,
I bring
sir.
up a point of interest. Did anybody get the Freeman today?
No, I didn't have a
Yes.
chance to read it.
All right, there's a article in there about a young man, 16 years old, who had gone in the Dietz Stadium and recognized that the Medal of Honor stone that's there really isn't decorated other than 2 shrubs. So he took it upon himself to go in there and plant flowers in the shape of the Medal of Honor. It's a yellow, and the Freeman happened to walk in yesterday while he was doing that and got the information from him.
Get a nice picture in the paper, it was
Right.
done nicely. And under that note, thank you, just a reminder, back to events, this Saturday at 11 a.m. at the Kingston Armory will be the rededication of the relocation of the Vietnam monument. The county has relocated it from Flatbush Avenue out to the Armory because the building is for sale. And unfortunately, the guest speaker really was going to be Bob Gallagher's brother, Ray. And if anyone doesn't know Ray, I just met him, a wonderful guy, and he is the recipient of two Purple Hearts. Unfortunately, with the death of their brother Hank, he's been up here, he just got back, and he was a little bit wishy-washy. I thought I was going to have him go, and come on up. I offered him everything. I said, I'll pick you up at the airport, I'll bring you back to the airport, you take one of my cars, take my wife and her cooking experience, everything. But he's got, as far as I know, he's not coming up. But anyway, it's 11 o'clock at the Armory for the rededication.
And back to the Dietz Stadium, I don't know if a lot of people in town, they know Dietz Stadium as a stadium, to realize that that gentleman was issued the Medal of Honor. And like I say, a lot of people just know, oh, Dietz Stadium, yeah, you go play ball, go run around the track, But that he was one of 82.
82,
Right.
yes.
And that young man that did the flower and all was my grandson.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Wasn't that nice?
Yeah. I took it on his own.
Yeah, I read that article. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna cut it out and save it. I got a little, at work,
Right.
I keep all my stuff up there.
His father takes care of the monument for the fire department down in the city on 100th Street on the West Side Highway. There's a big monument there for firemen who have perished over the years, and he took that upon himself to clean it up and decorate it and what have you, and I guess my grandson saw that, and he also joined the reenactment for World War II, so he joined that as well as he plays for the Legion. He does the taps for funerals and what have you.
So please pass it on to, thank you for being so considerate in doing that for people that are still with us and people that have passed.
Now, if I can just get him to come to my house and turn the lights out after he leaves.
Grandpa, you gotta do something. You can't just lay around.
Yeah.
And before we go into executive session, I also want to mention our condolences to Bob Gallagher. His brother passed away, and he was not a resident of Rosendale, but he was a member of our community for many years. I know he was involved in the Toys for Tots, and we're very sorry. And I know it's been a rough road for you guys.
Actually, didn't all the paving come the day that Hank passed away? So you talk about, I'm sure Bob had a lot of stuff on his mind that day. So thank you again for dealing with it all.
Okay. Yep. I think Mandy needs one.
I'll second.
Chris already
We'll give
made
it to you.
Stop
She
that.
needs one.
I didn't get a single second today.
You're moving slow tonight.
It's been a long weekend. Not my snappy self.
Watch the YouTube video, maybe you'll get something out of it.